fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going with the outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God! Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
It's very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no! That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God!
God, what?
Are you new to sim racing, or maybe a veteran struggling to reach the next level? Have you ever wondered how the aliens reach impressive lap times that seem impossible to achieve? If so, you're not alone. Most drivers reach a certain level and get stuck. But getting faster on track is easier than you think. VRS coaches are some of the best sim racers in the world and offer one-on-one driver skills training at affordable rates to help new drivers learn the basics and help experienced drivers break through to the next level. Are you ready to get faster and get off the iRacing roller coaster? If so, VRS one-on-one personal training is for you. If you've invested in your equipment, it might be time to invest in yourself. Just go to virtualracingschool.com and sign up for a 30, 60 or 90-minute session with one of our world-class coaches, and you'll learn exactly what to do for faster lap times and more podiums.
Good evening and welcome back to SimSpeed TV here on a Tuesday night. It's the continuation of season number 6 for the Aussie Online Gaming Porsche Cup. Here as we head to Barber Motorsports Park in Alabama, USA. My name is Daniel Yeaman. I'm with Jay Kennedy in production and doubling up on comms tonight. Well, it's been a little bit of a frantic preparation for a couple of us here, Jay, and this is actually my series as the admin and owner of Aussie Online Gaming. It's not where I expected to be here tonight, but nevertheless, providing commentary will do rather nicely, I think, here. So, filling us in for a first of our Super Sprint round formats as well. Something a little different to what we've seen in the opening 2 rounds for good measure here, Jay.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to be in the booth either tonight, so thanks for jumping in. But Reese unable to be here, so sort of changing things around. But yeah, the format tonight should be rather fun. First of the Super Sprint rounds, as you said, and we saw last year that the Super Sprint format was very, very fun. Short races, action-packed racing as well. Puts a little bit more of an emphasis on qualifying, but also on good racecraft as well, making your way through the field and making sure you maintain good positions throughout the racing. Rewards consistency throughout this format.
That it does. It's also maybe going to be it's a technical track that we're starting it out with in terms of circuit configuration. And also just the particulars of overtaking opportunities here, but it should hopefully serve up a good couple of opportunities around the course here. Have a look at the track map here on screen as we're talking about the Barber Motorsports Park. Full course configuration this evening means we're using all 16 turns and 3.8 kilometers of track length. Prime overtaking spot, probably looking at either turn 2, if you get a good run through turn 1 and the other driver ahead of you gets a bit of a rough one, but alternatively, the turn 5 hairpin is going to be one of the prime spots. But there are a couple of places, the turn 7-8 complex down the hill there on that track map, and even up through turns 14 and 15. There's a couple of options there, possibly depending on how things play out. So while in terms of big, heavy braking zones, there aren't too many options, I'd still say, Jay, there's a couple of spots here for guys to get a move done. Plus, with that backstretch section, once you get through turns 9 and 10, up through 11 and 12 as well, it's a fast-flowing complex that requires hitting the racing line as you need to. So any mistakes from drivers on that racing line, we'll see them possibly run wide or slow and open them up to being vulnerable to attack in a slightly unusual place perhaps, but nevertheless a valid spot to pass around here.
Yeah, it's a really difficult track. I think the elevation is probably the thing that catches a lot of drivers out when they come here the first time as well. The undulation that you have, the off-camber corners, the downhill chicane at 6, 7, 8. at the museum section. The flip-flop through 11 and 12 going down, then up the hill, and then the off-camber braking zone into the final two corners, or the final, second last corner, I should say. Makes it a really, really difficult track, but so underrated. One of my favourites on iRacing. I wish it was used a lot more than it is. And I know it's one of your favourite, and pretty much anyone that drives a lot or has been on iRacing for a long time, this is one of the favourites. But the sad part of it is not many of the newer guys to iRacing actually seem to want to get this track and have a go at it, because it is very, very difficult.
That it is. So it will be an interesting test here to see how everyone handles it tonight, as it is a mix of drivers in the field. As we have a look here at our series standings, 3 separate driver divisions make up our AOG Porsche Cup field, as we have drivers ranging from around 1,000 iRating up into the 8,000 range. Super fortunate to be able to have drivers of such various skills willing to give the series a go. And yeah, as an admin, I guess it's a chance for me to say here, really appreciate all of the drivers from their various skills and backgrounds choosing to race with us here tonight and continue with the series. So our orange class here on screen, that's our pro division. You can see it's Job Stewart, number 35 for Pursuit Sim Racing, is holding on to a championship lead. But Cooper Webster for Red Bull Racing Esports, having made the switch over the winter break, summer break here in Australia, and now taking part in the Porsche or Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup. Not far behind, just a singular point, and with 330 points on offer tonight in cross qualifying and the races, that gap could easily switch, and in fact almost certainly will either increase or switch positions there. And then Sebastian Flock rounds out our top 3 podium. Great consistency from Seb, and a solid race results is putting him in a great starting position for this championship. Our fluoro yellow, highlighter yellow colour, that's our Pro-Am division, sort of that middle pack of drivers, up to 4,000 iRating from about 2,000. It's Tyson Broad, you can see there, 9th place overall, but first in class. Has got a small gap to Ryan Jones, who unfortunately I do not see in the server yet tonight. So he's there. Oh, pardon me. Oh, fantastic. Good. Apologies about that interruption there. So Ryan Jones second and Simon Mazzomo third in class there. And then the hot pink colour, that is our amateur division for drivers under 1950 iRating to be precise for the series. It's Nicholas Garriok leading Josh Schultz and Javan Wood. As you can see there, the points differential between those drivers in the back half of the top 20 overall, Jay, pretty tight. So I'm really enjoying that we're seeing a pretty tight spread even amongst the various classes, but also within class as well.
Yeah, and I think it's been showing that the series itself has been very, very evenly matched. We've seen really good class battles each and every race we've seen so far this season. So it's been really, really cool to watch that throughout. We're into qualifying now, and Group 1 of qualifying is underway. They've had about 10 minutes out on track. Sebastian Vandel, can't even get my words out tonight. Currently the fastest in the session, but very, very tight the whole way through.
That it is, as we see here, times on screen. And while indeed, yes, Vandel, one of our Pro-Am class drivers currently out on circuit at the moment, Nicholas Garriok, who's our amateur class championship leader, we just pointed out there, is the second on track in the session, and just under 2 tenths behind. Unfortunately, though, for Garriok, runs it in too deep at the turn 15 there, and is going to have to either flick it across the grass to stay on track here, and did he will. Bounce the thing across and get it going for another run here with about 6 minutes left on the clock for this group here. Due to the heat format in iRacing, there's a harder cutoff, but we also split the qualifying session effectively into 2 manual groups, just to allow the drivers a bit of track space to ensure that they can get their laps in without feeling too worried about congestion, and also perhaps for these amateur class guys not feeling too worried about then sort of tripping up the faster class guys when they come out and track later. As we see Josh Schultz here in the 027 come across the line and then improves to a 125.5. A little loose there for turn 1 and possibly a bit wide for good measure through turn 2, but gets him a little closer to lead in the class series. We now have a look at Stephen Griffiths here in the number 67 for Autoserve Racing here, Jay.
Well, no lap time there on that one for Steve. We're currently sitting in 7th position. Next driver will come across the line is Steve Black. Current best of a 26.1. That's an improvement. It won't jump up any positions, but still always good to improve your lap time regardless of where you are in the field. always a good feeling. Kyle Booth with the next driver to cross the line through this really difficult final 2 corners. It's one of the longest corners going around, double apex, sometimes triple apex, depending on your line, through the second to last corner, and then trying to flick it back and get a run down this front straight. Very, very difficult to do. It's an out lap for Booth, so he's going to start a fly now.
Yes, indeed. So he gets a good start through turns 1 and 2 here. It's a long turn number 2 here, so really critical that you set up the corner right and then be able to get the power on nice and early and rise through the crest of turn 3. Don't lose that rear end, because you can obviously lose a bit of speed if you get the rear end loose. And then over the crest into turn 5, this heavy braking zone, which should expect it to be the prime overtaking spot. And he makes a good, nice, tight double apex of sorts through there and opens up the exit as well for good measure. And then the run down to turns 7, 8, 9. It's over a bunch of curbs here. This car thankfully can take them, but not opting to take the curbs through the first part, a little bit of the curb through the second half of the complex. And then out on the exit, the camber allows you to really put the power down early, but drift it out. Then through the first of these 2 back stretch chicanes, got to sort of jump the curbs here, even though the Porsche sometimes isn't the greatest fan of them. Kyle Booth navigating it quite nicely here, and then up to the second chicane complex. Well, I say that, pardon me, Jay. It's actually one sort of chicane of sorts to the left, and then you hard right as you turn the car in for the final right-hand turns here, and then open up turn 15 as much as you can, and then keep it narrow on exit, and then to turn 16. Time's almost up for this class, so Kyle's not going to make it to the finish line, unfortunately. But this will be what he can put on the board here at the end of the session. Does he improve? A 124.2. Unfortunately, I believe that's not an improvement indeed. Now, pardon me, actually race control. Pardon me, yeah, sorry, race control confirming that 110 was clear to complete another lap if he so chose, but I had abandoned that attempt. So Nicholas Garriock, the next driver across the line, our AM class leader, goes to a 123.4, but that doesn't close the gap any further to Sebastian Vandel as we now look at Havan Wood in the 369 for Pulse Racing Team, looking to improve on his 5th place currently as he comes across the line here. I believe unable to improve on that lap. A 123.95 does improve in the session here on that final run there, Jay. So good to see some improvements, as Kyle Booth is also one of the drivers out in track, but he'll be bringing it into the pits on this lap.
A good improvement on that last lap for Wood. Didn't improve any positions, but did improve that time at the end. So Vardendale fastest, Garriock fastest for AM. Means that we've got a bit of a mixed up second group as we get our main group out in just a moment. It's going to be a few drivers that have got a bit of pressure on with those times that some of those drivers done there too, because the field is rather close throughout the entirety of that in that group. I mean, 2 tenths, 4 tenths, 2 hundredths, a tenth. There's not much separating all of the cars in that group. So these guys will want to get a good lap in very, very early, as Job Stewart and Sam Blacklock race each other out of pit lane. They've had a little bit of controversy in both this and also in Fixed Indy Australia over the past couple of weeks, so they'll be looking to potentially not get themselves involved with each other in this one tonight.
Yeah, that's true. Never good to be tripping up other drivers and sort of coming across drivers in multiple series and getting entangled in a couple of places. So given a track like this, qualifying will be, as we expect, very important to be able to establish a solid start to the race and then build on that in the opening phases. It's as I said, short races tonight. If you missed it at the start of the broadcast, 15 minutes per race or 11 laps, whichever comes first. Depending on the qualifying and race times we see here from this pro class, we might decide to go purely on time. Possibly could have set the race length to 12 laps apiece, but having also got a fuel tank restriction in place, playing it safe after the fact. So 11 laps is likely what we'll see. Well, in terms of race, we'll see here now. Blackhawk opting to go straight past Job Stewart as the drivers begin their first qualifying runs here in the Pro Class. It's going to be Cooper Webster to lead the group across the line, closely followed by Bo Albert in the 06 for Alta C Sports, and then Blackhawk in the 215, and Job Stewart fourth in that train here. And see here, these guys Might be able to see these drivers get into the 121s around here. Just an indication of the level of performance from these guys here as they make their way up the hill through turn 3 for the first time. Albert shadowing Cooper Webster quite nicely. So a little bit of an advantage in a straight line perhaps as they make their way over the hill into turn 5. But got to make sure you spot the braking markers and hit them correctly. A little bit of a wiggle, I think, there from Albert in the background of shot. But they make their way out of turns 5 and 6 and up to the 7, 8, 9 complex here for the first time. Look here at Cooper Webster. Big curb usage in comparison to what we saw from some of the Pro-Am and Am class drivers earlier. A lot more confident to rotate that car in over the curb at the first half of the section and then up to the back chicanes. What's he like through this section of the circuit, I wonder? It has to be a bit of a lift, I would think. And yeah, right to the edge of the grass and then back in the power. And I think just stretching the gap a little bit here. So doesn't opt for the curb there in the left-hand part of the corner, but then up and over the curb as you rise the hill to the right. That's turn 13 for good measure, and then in through turn 14 now, and basically a single continuous corner into 15 here, and then open up turn 16 and swing it down the front straight. Clock's looking pretty decent here, but whether we get a 21 or a 22, not sure just yet, Jay, as the line comes up.
22-1 for the first lap. Decent lap there for Cooper Webster to start things off. Blacklock into second. The lap time from Bo Albert behind did not count, so he'll have to go for another one. Doesn't actually count on the board. Cam Dance has decided to do a slow second lap and continue on for a flyer on the next one. Jordan Caruso didn't get a lap in on that first one either, so a few drivers that we thought might have been up near the pointy end didn't actually get laps registered on that first run.
Indeed. I mean, thankfully there is plenty of time for these guys to get the laps in, but it does show that they are pushing here straight from the get-go. As we have a look now at the number 98 of Sam Muir in the TriStar Racing car. He comes across the line here, and that's a slow lap from him on a 130.7. Maybe a mistake, perhaps. Either way, he'll have to go again here to try and get a lap in as we look back to the front of the field. So we see here how hard these guys are pushing. Oh, I wonder, was just a little wide there through that chicane complex. Quite easy to push too hard through there and grab the grass, and therefore an off-track on the outside of the circuit. But if you also hop the curb as the right part of the chicane too much, Jay, also quite easy to pick up a off-track there for good measure. So you have to really balance it in terms of where you position the car as they bring the cars across the line here at the front of the field. Do we see any improvements from our front runners? There we go. First time into the 121s. It's going to be Cooper Webster indeed. And Bo Albert not quite able to match him there, but a 121.8 will do nicely. But Jordan Caruso is our next driver into the 21s as well. Just over a tenth behind there. So here come the faster gaps as more drivers in that pro class continue to come across the line, set time. Sebastian Flock, valid lap, but not quite where he want to be. But then he jumps up into that bulk of pro drivers at the front of the field here. So drivers now starting to set themselves up where they'd rather be. As you know, look at Cam Dance. Does he get that first time on the board? He does, but a 123.3. That will slot him in behind Sebastian Van Dell, but no. Time does not count for this one here, unfortunately, Joe.
Yeah, so Dance, probably the main driver at the moment that hasn't got a lap that's counted in this session. I mean, he's the only driver that hasn't got a lap that's counted yet. So, yeah, he'll be starting to stress a little bit around that. Chan Treek going for a second run here. Coming into the pits after his first lap and going for another one. So this lap, I don't believe, is a valid lap. 131, so it definitely isn't valid.
What has the number 97 got for us here in this one? So looking to improve on 124.8 is a provisional time for him. Obviously, it's not quite where he'd want to be because that'll put him down towards the back of the field. Meanwhile, another driver looking to finish a lap here. Steve Hosey in the number 9 for Hosey Racing. Does improve to a 123.3. He does, yes. But a little wide there through turn 1. So opts to abandon that one and get ready to go again as we now switch to the number 12, Matt Bowler. One of the other Pursuit Sim Racing entries here tonight on outlap by the looks of things on that time. 129.7, certainly not competitive lap, and indeed looks like that was an outlap setup. So we'll see what he can do here and maybe tune back in later on in the lap nevertheless. Top 10, Sebastian Van Dell still hanging on to an outright 10th place, and Matt Bowler fair ways down the order for the time being, so he'll be looking to jump and join that top 10 of pro class drivers here soon, Jay.
on board with Jordan Caruso. Both he and Cooper Webster have reset and gone for a second run here as they exited the pits together, almost nose to tail. And you can see there car of Sam Blacklock just on the outside as he's come out of the pits after his pit stop to get fresh tyres and go again for another run. See what Caruso can do on this lap.
Start of the lap looks pretty decent here from Caruso in that 112. And making his way up to turns 7, 8, 9 here once again. See how much curb he uses, and you can see that good amount of curb usage through turn 7 and then over the curb at 8. Like it's not even there really. And that car looks rather nicely controlled as he makes his way out of turn number 9 here to set up on the back stretch through the chicanes. Making solid curb usage. You can see here really getting that car to be compliant over those curbs is important here. And then to the end of the back straight, not using much curb or no curb there at all in the first part, but then up and over the curb through turn 13 and using what exit curb there is at turn 14 for good measure. And then again, that long double right and all the way to the track edge there on the left side. So these guys really know how to use just about every millimetre they've got available to them. He comes around the final corner and that lap there not quite up to speed, so possibly called out by Blacklock leaving the pits or deliberately slow lap. We'll see here as we welcome Reese Gardner to the commentary box. Reese, good to have you here for round number 3 of the series once again. And oh dear, trouble at turn 2 between the number 12 of Matt Bowler and the Triple 8 of Robbie Gibbs as we have a look here at Corey Shepherd aboard the 718 of the Premier Racing Team, apologies, as he makes his way on a fast lap, it seems, up and over the curbs. And also interesting to see here, we've got pedal cam and steering cam. See, whoa! Oh, big wobble there for the 718 Shepherd, but he halted together. I was just going to say, one of the few drivers here in the series who's actually running a sequential stick shift, which harks back to Corey's primary driving being in the Australian Supercar V8 touring car thing. As Reese, welcome to the comms box here.
Yeah, that was quite the introduction. Big moment there from Corey Shepherd. It is interesting to see that he is using the sequential stick, because these cars in the real world use paddle shift. But I suppose, considering Corey Shepherd's main drive is the V8, might as well keep yourself all nice and set up. Meanwhile, Sebastian Flock making his way through the first couple of turns now at the start of a lap, just watching these guys go around the circuit. This car already is one that requires some pretty smooth inputs and very pertinent management of the weight transfer, but that's especially important at a track like Barber Motorsports Park. I mean, you guys have already seen it on the broadcast. The elevation changes are immense around here, and there's so many slow corners and pretty much every corner leading into the next one. So it's very important to set yourself up for the very short straights that do exist on this circuit, as Matt Bowler does not improve on that time. Might be starting up another hot lap here. Thankfully, he has his biggest fan watching over him.
Indeed, always helps to have a fan in hand. As we have a look here at one of Matt Bowler's teammates from the Pursuit Sim Racing stables, Job Stewart, in number 35, our current championship leader as well, as indicated by the alternate windscreen banner colour. Currently sits on a 122.4 and has improved on that lap. But I believe stays in 6th place there, no movement on the timing charts. Just an improvement in time as we switch to Cam Dance in number 6. Shake of the head there as he exited turn number 9. Catching the grass, whether that was an off track or not, I'm not 100% certain, but at the very least, that definitely must have compromised the exit there for the number 6 race.
Yeah, for sure. You see Cam is concentrating quite hard, making his way through the last sector here. It's very important to get your lines absolutely right here, and you and I would know that, Dan. We had a heck of a race in the Aussie Car Turbo Touring Car Series at this very track, and we definitely know what it's like to try and wheel a car around here as fast as possible. Let's see what Cam can do. 1 minute 22.7 for him, and looks like might be a good improvement for him there. Currently, he is in 8th place out of the drivers that have set times so far. Robbie Gibbs, meanwhile, for Drop Bear and Kosi, currently down in ninth, just behind Cam. He's the guy that's just been beaten, and he'll be looking to start another hot lap here. See if he can do anything to improve, because, well, if he manages to gain 2/10, well, he's gotten Sebastian Flock and Cameron Dance, but it's still quite the gap ahead to the likes of this guy, Bo Albert. 1 minute 22.18 is what he's currently on. Coming up to the end of a lap now. Is this going to be an improvement for Bo? Looks like he might just be starting another hot lap there. Oh, just catching the grass on the exit of turn 1. And it's very easy to do. No curb to save you on the exit of turn 1. And little strip of grass and some tarmac beyond that, but regardless, if you end up catching that with your side wheels, that's your lap done before it's even started.
Indeed, very easy to overdrive the track limits here. Front wheel drive, as we were talking about there from Aussie Car Turbo Touring cars, made it all the more easier to overdrive things, but even in these cars being rear wheel drive, with the weight in the rear end thanks to the engine, as we see here, Matt Bowler makes a solid improvement, I believe, to, he makes an improvement to a 123.3, and he has time here to go for one more flying lap if the car will have it in it, but he still sits 12th outright and 10th in class. So unless something changes here on this final lap here, it looks like that we might see two of our Pro-Am drivers just starting to break up the Pro class dominance at the front of the field, as we see Robbie Gibbs not improve on that flying lap, but again, he's just made it across the line in time to start one final flyer. And now look at Tyson Broad out in track in the number 27, our Pro-Am class leader. 15th overall, 4th in class there on the timing boards. And setting a couple of personal bests here by the looks of things, as he makes his way through the final sector of the lap here race.
The checkered flag has officially flown at the end of the session. Everyone that's currently on a hot lap can end it. I heard that car 888, Robert Gibbs, was the last car to start a lap before the checkered flag flew, so we'll be able to see him potentially improve, as Simon Mazzomo definitely improves up to lucky 13th place. Interesting to see if he can hold on to that as the last few times come in off the board. TriStar Racing Sam Muir got a little bit of a draft, which isn't worth that much here at Barber, but certainly helps even a little bit, as that's the Altus car spinning in the background. Was that Bo Albert, I wonder? No, it was Jordan Caruso. Albert's already done with his run, so unfortunately Jordan Caruso not going to be able to improve on second place. And meanwhile, Robbie Gibbs out of the final corner, the last driver to set a time here. Let's see if he can improve on 9th place. 23.1. Good stuff there from Robbie Gibbs, but unfortunately it's not going to translate into an improvement of position. Meanwhile, Sam Blacklock, well, I noticed, it just came up on my times, his time of 22.27, quite good there, but he's not going to have another chance to improve on that as the session ends, and we can go through our starting grid for AOG Porsche Cup Season 6, Round 3. Cooper Webster leads our field. Jordan Caruso will start alongside him on the first row. It's Bo Albert and championship leader Job Stewart on row 2. Sam Blacklock and Corey Shepherd rounding out our top 6. Then we've got Sebastian Flock and Cameron Dance sharing row 4. Robbie Gibbs, going to be sharing the back end of the top 10 with our top Pro-Am. Sebastian Vandel got pole in that class over Steve Hosey, who starts alongside Matt Bowler in 12th, in car 12 no less.
Indeed, looks like it was meant to be for that car and number indeed tonight. That's the last of our pro drivers here tonight, as we now move into the bulk of the Pro-Am field. The Simon Mazzomo there starting out of 13th place alongside our amateur pole sitter Nicholas Garriok for 14th place, and then Sam Muir will line up alongside Tyson Broad on row number 8 for 15th and 16th place. And Kyle Edwards-Lamb, 17th place alongside the next of our AM class drivers in 18th place on row number 9. And then over the page once more, we'll get Kyle Booth starting out of 19th place. Sorry, Javan Wood out of 19th place and Jacob Brewer alongside him for 20th. Joshua Van Treek a little further back perhaps than he would like in 21st. Steve Griffiths alongside him for 22nd. Liam James in 23rd, along with Glenn Benetti rounding out a Pro-Am class cars for 24th, leaving us with Jai Schultz in 25th and Steve Black in 26th place, our last two drivers on the grid. I'm actually also in that server as a backup safety car driver, as that's my normal job, along with Tom Wilkerson in the steward's box, and Matt Kefford filling in for me tonight, Reese, despite the fact that he is normally an AM class driver in the series.
Well, we'll get ready for our standing start in just over 10 seconds time here. And very important to get a good start here at Barber Motorsports Park. It's a very short run to turn 1. If you mess it up, then the drivers behind you won't get much of a chance to overtake you, but still certainly possible. Let's get ready for the race to get going as the revs rise. And we are racing at Barber. Pretty good initial jump there from Cooper Webster, and it converts into the next phase of acceleration. Sebastian Flock immediately moved over to cover Cam Dance as they're going almost 3 wide. Goodness me, Sam Blacklock. Very, very careful with Robert Gibbs and Cameron Dance either side of him as they come through turn 1. Cam might squeeze Gibbs out to the side of the circuit here, has to take the curb. It's a very narrow line through turn 3 here, but it is going to be Cooper Webster leading from the Altus duo of Jordan Caruso and Bo Albert. And big oversteer for Caruso as Blacklock tries his best to find his way forward. Meanwhile, in the midfield, it's all going off. They're running 2 wide quite a bit.
Indeed, it was Simon Mazzomo there in that red, white, blue 551 car. Went up the inside of Matt Bowler and the number 12, our final Pro Class driver there, but unable to make the move stick down the back stretch as we come through 7, 8, 9 for the first time here. Great to see everyone's making it through here now. And the single file begins with, that was Robbie Gibbs loose. Robbie Gibbs big lose at turns 10 and 11 in the back chicane. Thankfully, he's got that car somewhat out of the way here as everyone peels across to the racing line on the right side of the circuit. Not the start Robbie would want, but he's got the car going again just on the back of the trains. We look to the front of the field here.
Trouble Sebastian Varndell.
Indeed, new paint scheme, new team name this week. Unfortunately, not the start he wants is... Oh, this guy's almost too wide again. It's Havan Wood in the 369. Ooh, squeeze. And there's, trouble ahead. Yikes.
Oh, whoa.
Kyle Edwards-Lamb, Joshua Van Treek getting around. Oh, boy. Van Treek is parked in the middle of the circuit. He's able to get going now, but goodness me, that was a dramatic end to lap number 1 here, Reese, as the front of the field has been pretty decent here, but the AMs and Pro-Ams certainly giving it to each other here as the front of the field makes their way up and over the hill to turn 5 and 6 here on lap 2 of 11.
Indeed. Well, I took a look back at what happened to Joshua Van Treek, and unfortunately he went off at the exit of the final corner, spun up the rears and went around. That's a consequence of this track here with grass right by the sides of the circuit. We'll take a look at Sam Blacklock, meanwhile, who's trying his best to pick his way forward. Started in 5th and ended up losing out at the start. He is down a little bit further than he would like, but he's wasting no time trying to size up Sebastian Flock here, who ran just a little bit wide of the curb in the left-hander, but it seems that he's got that Pursuit Sim Racing Porsche down pat. It was a pretty bad start for Sam Blacklock. Didn't get off the line anywhere near as good as he would have hoped. And coming to the end of lap 2, it looks like things have settled down quite a bit at the front. Now we're going to see Sam Blacklock really attacking Sebastian Flock because he had a great run through the last sector. Got to be careful of the grass though. Let's see what he can do coming into turns 5 and 6. It's all about the exit here out of turn 3, that seemingly never-ending right-hander that goes up the hill. Sebastian Flock, well, he'll be peeking in his mirrors from time to time, but he's looking rather calm, and he's got reason for it. There goes Cam Dance up the inside of Sam Blacklock and up into 7th place.
Indeed, there, Blacklock didn't quite get the run out of turn 2, I think, that he would like, but he's not done just yet. He's committing to the inside of Cameron Dance through the 789 complex. Dance up and over the turn 8 curb. He's able to hold it, though, around the outside. Surely Blacklock's got this done here on the exit, because going ultra wide doesn't work, but no, he's going to stick it in at 10-11. Jeez, boys. Both have to lift out, but it looks like Dance is going to be the bigger loser of the two. The off-track for him, thankfully, rather than anything more than that. But Blacklock, no emotion there on that face. He's certainly in a hard-charging mood and not willing to give up any spots there tonight. And I think just there now knowing, trying to attack a little differently at turn 2 next time by. I think going in deep there, as he did on that previous lap, didn't work out in terms of the way Flock was able to keep the car pointed a little tighter. Just seemed to get the drive a little earlier off the corner there. So going to have to close back up again. but he knows he's got the pace. He's just got to be able to execute the setup once again a little better here. As we jump back to the number 9 of Steve Hosey, currently running 11th outright, but second in class and right behind class leader Simon Mazzomo, holding on to that top 10 spot as these guys make their way up the hill for their fourth run across to turns 5 and 6.
Brilliant braking zone, this one going downhill. Hosey almost right on the bumper of Simon Mazzomo and really exploiting the exit of the corner there. It's incredibly wide, this track. It's very twisty, which makes it hard to pass, but there's plenty of room to run side by side if you manage to stick one up the inside of your opponent. Got to be careful of this curved exit here from the downhill chicane too. And they've got that incredible left-right flick where Sam Blacklock and Cameron Dance tried to go side by side on the previous lap. Looking at Cam's zoom feed, it certainly didn't seem to worry him that much. He was having a giggle and a smile on his face. I'm seeing that there's further problems for Sebastian Vandel as well. I see him dropping down the order. He's down in 22nd now. Further problems there for the driver with a new team, new livery. And it seems that Barber Motorsports Park is not treating him very nicely tonight as he has further issues.
Indeed, just running in a bit too deep. Tyres maybe a bit scorched there, perhaps lost the rear and slid them across the grass. And then just maybe asking a bit too much of the car. Thankfully, it looks undamaged, so it's just a matter of calming the car back down temperature-wise and then preparing for another stint here as we're approaching the halfway point of the race. Meanwhile, Sam Blacklock has closed right back up on Sebastian Flock once again. He's now got the gap behind to Cam Dance, so shouldn't be under too much pressure unless Flock's pace here is a little compromised by being under attack here, at least the mind games at this stage of the lap. See it into turns 7, 8, 9, different lines there. Blacklock using more of the turn 8 curb in the middle part of the section, whereas Flock opting to actually really aggressively attack the apex curb of that final part at turn 9. And both drivers all of the track and then a bit of grass for good measure. Probably a 1x off track for both of them in that case. And then down the hill through the 13, 14 chicane. Sorry, it's 11. It's 12, 13, pardon me. And then into the final part of the track here. Blacklock looks to be using more of the track and he's able just to carry more momentum here. And I think sooner rather than later that's going to pay off here as it makes its way down the front stretch. Shows the nose this time, but all about the setup here into turns 2 and then the run across to turn 5.
Let's see what Blacklock can do. He goes a little wider on entry to open up the middle of the corner. Flock, though, goes deep and then allows Blacklock alongside him. There we go. That's the drive that the Altus Esports 215 needed, and he is ahead of the pursuit number 84. Good stuff there from Sam Blacklock. Just stuck it on the line on the inside and exploited an ever so slight error from Sebastian Flock. So that's good news for Altus Esports to add to the good news they have of running second and third at the moment overall. There's a big gap forming now between the top 3. It doesn't look like there's much of a race for the lead between Jordan Caruso and Red Bull Esports' Cooper Webster as we take a look at Simon Mazzomo still trying to hold off Steve Hosey here. And last time I looked at them, Hosey ran a little bit wide in the middle of turn 2, so he might be having a couple of issues keeping up with the 551. We'll have to wait and see though. Mazzomo could potentially gain an overall position with Matthew Bowler just up ahead of him, but they have to keep an eye out for Tyson Broad behind as well, who we check out now.
Indeed, not quite the qualifying result our Pro-Am Championship leader would have liked there, 16th outright. Fortunately, can't draw back exactly what that was in class, but you can see here, out of the final turn, a little bit of grass there will compromise the run ever so slightly, but looks like compared to laps set previously, I think I just saw a green timing box on his dash, so if his fastest lap in session is relatively decent, which I can tell you is a 1:23.5, so indeed, yep, actually that wasn't an invalid lap, so good to see there. Some decent pace here, but cars ahead just a couple more tenths quicker. So Tyson will need to find a little bit more on track to get him. Meanwhile, just behind that trio of cars, Nicholas Garriock holds on to 13th outright, but our leading amateur class driver at this time, though, Dan Muir's got an absolutely massive run out of turns 5 and 6 in comparison. Not quite sure what's happened there, but he's been able to, not able to get it past, pardon me. That's Garriock. Chance to sort of take a run down the hill here through the 789 complex. Oh no, trouble for the 84 of Sebastian Flock. that's going to promote those 3 Pro-Ams up to battling inside top 10. And, oh, his car is damaged. Thankfully, we'll have a chance to look at what happened here on the virtual racing score replay race.
Yeah, it looks like it was rear-end contact from Cameron Dance, who ended up going a little wide here, coming into the chicane over the grass. No grip there, and he just sailed into the back end of Sebastian Flock and spun him around. That's a big shame. It doesn't look like there's a huge amount of damage for Sebastian, though. He will be able to continue, and it looks like Cameron Dance is pulling over to redress the position. Good to see.
Indeed, I appreciate the guys willing to take redress actions rather than await the race control team to issue out penalties that apply after the race, whether that be manually adjudicated time penalties. To be honest, it's one of those things actually I wish iRacing would let us do in the in hosted races. Certainly post-race black flags, as time penalties already exist for various incidents, and it'd be nice if we could get the ability to actually apply a post-race time penalty and have iRacing take care of it, given they can already do that at this stage. We're looking here at 15th place out on track. It's Kyle Booth in the 110 for Gary Ock Booth Motorsports, but as we just saw there on screen, most critically, he currently holds the pole position provisionally for race number 2 here. Race. The top 15 invert we will see when the second race comes up immediately after this one here. So he's got Kyle Edwards-Lamb behind and Robert Gibbs. So we've got Am leading Pro, Am leading Pro. So certainly not the order we would expect our general class divisions here on track. You can see Gibbs is starting to really hustle here. Maybe aware of the importance of P15. I'm not 100% certain, but really starting to hustle the back of Edwards-Lamb. He's looking for the hustle on Kyle Booth. Booth takes the conventional racing line through the final couple of corners here. Edwards-Lamb up the inside. He's going to get the job done. So change of position and change of provisional pole position here. But now we're on board with the Triple A to Gibbs. And in fact, looks like the 110 of Kyle Booth. He's not required to do so, but looking to protect the car and not fight a faster driver here. So good heads-up driving from the 110 there. As much as I would love to see him have a crack at fighting off for these faster drivers within reason, nevertheless, doing the right thing for his own sake out on track. As we now look, Cam Dance, is he up the inside? I believe he's up the inside of Seb Flock here at turns 5 and 6. Flock gives a lot of racing room there. Maybe a little concerned about what happened the last time that Dance was behind him. But position change there for those two cars. They trade places. That's P11 now for number 6 ahead of the 84 in 12th here, Reese.
Good stuff, and the pass was completed cleanly, which is the main thing. Just on the subject of 15th, it looks like Robert Gibbs is really rounding up the number 42 of Kyle Edwards-Lamb now. And don't forget, Gibbs was one of the drivers that spun on the opening lap, so he's got a lot to fight for here. If he can get himself race 2 pole out of this, then it'll certainly be a good recovery and should get his night back on track, but he's only going to have one more lap to do it. Hell, he's going to try now, maybe get up the inside here, a little bit later on the brakes alongside the number 42. Is he ahead by the time they get to it? Well, he's going to give him room at the final corner, but the outside line should provide him a good opportunity. Maybe no, just catching the grass. It is going to be on for race 2 pole here between Kyle Edwards-Lamb and Robert Gibbs coming into the first turn of lap 10. Goodness me, fantastic racing here, but the clock is rapidly ticking for car 888. Will he be able to get the move done at turn 5? He seems to have the run, but Kyle Edwards-Lamb is going to go defensive.
Indeed, I'm not quite sure if we've got white flag this time by. I don't think so, as
no, we don't.
The race leader is up approaching the second of the back chicanes here, so Robert Gibbs has got a lap and a half still here to make a move stick. And now starting to really work the lines as he goes for the crisscross on down to the 789 complex. Nothing there this time by, so set the car up, try and get the drive out of here. And he's also going to start thinking about timing it right here, because they're bringing the 02, another of our Pro-Am class drivers in the form of Jacob Brewer, into this here. So if something goes wrong, we could see another driver that we're not expecting out to take the 15th place here, as he looks for the inside this time. At turn, oh goodness me, turn 12, and the inside for 13.
Oh, that's great.
He's made that work beautifully. But I think Edwards-Lamb, he's going to stick it around the outside again as we come through 14 and up to 15. But this time, Gibbs is ahead. I think drives it in deep to try and get the place covered off, and he does indeed. So now he's clear. Can he pull away here on the final lap to secure the place? White flag indeed is waving this time by, but he has to defend down the front stretch. Lamb is not giving it up with good reason. Obviously, doesn't have to settle for 16th place, and 15th is incredibly valuable here in this particular one. So we see here, what has Edwards Lamb got for the Triple Eight on this final lap, Reese?
What indeed. It looks like Robert is getting the exits that he needs. There's going to be no attack from Kyle here at turn 5. But meanwhile, a bit further up the field, goodness me, that's looking tight there. Tyson Broad and Steve Hosey, who's managed to make his way up into 9th. Cameron Dance, meanwhile, managing to pull away from Sebastian Flock. It might still be on for 3rd place as Cooper Webster for Red Bull Esports comes across the line to take victory. Jordan Caruso will trail him for 2nd, and it's going to be decided just in Bo Albert's favour here, with 2 Altus Esports cars on the podium, managing to hold off one heck of an attack from Job Stewart and Corey Shepherd. Last couple of positions being decided here, almost up the inside as Tyson Broad, as Hosey goes off the track here. Broad is going to get the position and finish in 9th place in race 1. Fantastic stuff there on the final lap, but race 2 pole is going to go to Robert Gibbs. He got the gap he needed over Kyle Edwards Lamb and managed to make it work. Good stuff.
Indeed, maybe definitely out of place there in terms of a finishing position, he would think, but now in a prime position to be able to try and maybe open an early gap and put it to good use, given that while the race leaders certainly have the speed out in clean air, how can they make use of that in the traffic? We take a quick look at the race results here from our first of 3 races tonight, with Cooper Webster 2.2 seconds clear at the front ahead of Jordan Caruso. Bo Albert, as we saw there, just holding off Job Stewart to take 3rd place. Stewart settling for 4th. Corey Shepherd keeping both of them honest and coming home with a strong 5th place finish there. Ahead of Sam Blacklock, recovering to 6th place after that start. And Matt Bowler up to 7th. Pardon me 1 second while I just give us a little bit more time to run through the results here and extend the gridding on race 2. And Matt Bowler, our last of our Pro Class drivers at the front of the field, will finish that one there in 7th. And then our Pro-Am drivers, Simon Zomo in 8th, with Tyson Broad in 9th, and Steve Hosey rounding out our top 10. And then we get into some of the meat and potatoes. A couple of our Pro Class drivers out of position, 11th and 12th for Cameron Dance and Sebastian Flock there, Reese. Nicholas Garriock, another really strong result for him, 13th place and leading the AM Class drivers home tonight, really showing why he's the championship leader of that group there, with Sam Muir 14th, and yes, that all-important reverse race 2 pole for Robbie Gibbs in 15th. Kyle Lamb, 16th place ahead of Jacob Brewer, who was closing in there at the end, but 17th will have to be his starting place for race 2. Kyle Booth, next of our AM-Class drivers, ahead of Javan Wood in 19th, and then Glenn Benetti rounding out our top 20 overall, and M-Class there as well.
Yes, and the field rounded out by Griffiths, Vandel, Van Treek, Black, Schultz, and James, all of which had big issues in race 1. They'll be hoping that they can do a little better in race 2. And speaking of Sebastian Flock and Cameron Dance, well, they benefited from the invert. They're going to be starting 4th and 5th here. So it will be interesting to see whether or not they can start fighting for the lead pretty soon. Because Robert Gibbs, certainly starting on pole, he does have the pace to compete in the top 10. But the likes of Sam Muir and Nicholas Garriock, they're a bit of an unknown here so far up the field at the start. So Sebastian Flock and Cameron Dance, they're going to have to rely on an excellent start here. It's going to be difficult to get the moves done into turns 1, 2, and 3, though. They're going to have to wait for the turn 5 hairpin to try and make some passes. Whether or not they'll be in a position to do so all depends on how these first few turns go. So, timer runs out. It is time for the revs to start rising. Robert Gibbs is going to be leading them away here at the start as the revs rise. And the green flag flies. We are away. Initial phase of acceleration for Robert Gibbs didn't get off very well, but there's big problems for Tyson Broad. He bogged down massively on the start. He's going to get pincer moved by the Aldous cars as Albert gets sideways in the turn 1 curb and spins around. Also off the track, Jordan Caruso, who finished 2nd in the last race. So it's all gone completely wrong for 2 of the Altus Esports cars here today as Sam Blacklock tries his best to fight with Matthew Bowler a bit further up. Oh my goodness, look at all of these cars going into the first hairpin. Almost 3 wide between Bowler, Blacklock, and Webster. My goodness, this is some chaos happening on the first lap. Cameron Dance already up to third and lining up a move on Sam Muir at the chicane. Muir's going to turn in and not give the Kiwi an inch. Locks up on the way in, though. Got to be careful. He's letting Robert Gibbs get away. Oh, no. There we go. Cam Dance turns around Sam Muir coming out of the turn. We got another car off there as well.
Dyson Broad in the 27 Pro-Am class leader. Tapped in the rear. Unfortunately, I've lost track of who did it, unfortunately. Might have been Steve Hosey, but I'm not 100% certain. But welcome to the Super Sprint format, ladies and gentlemen. This is what happens when you bring the cars back into the middle of the field. Thankfully, so far, only 2 incidents to note. Well, pardon me, 3 incidents to note there. Unfortunately, that lap 1 incident, well, turn 1 incident involving Bo Albert, unfortunately, his own making, going up the inside and catching the grass on the inside rear tyre, locks that wheel up, and you can say goodbye to car control when that happens. If we look here at the front stretch, Simon Zomo looking to defend from Lucas Garriock. There's something happened in the background there. Unfortunately, I missed it. Oh, dear. The 110 of Kyle Booth is entangled there. Looks like the car isn't too damaged as we head back towards the front of the field here. It's absolute pandemonium. These guys fighting over positions inside the top 10 and looking for a top 5. Sam Blacklock up the inside of Cooper Webster looking to hold on to his spot. Sebastian Flock ahead. Steve Hosey's lost it.
Oh, no. Oh, my goodness.
Oh no, Hosey loses it all by himself and out of control. Nicholas Garriock has nowhere to go and piles into him. Oh, and then a spin for Liam James on the corner exit. Oh, and Hosey is towing badly on the outside of the corner. It is dramatic here as we have a quick look at the virtual racing school replay of what happened there for the number 9 of Steve Hosey. Just watch here. He looks to go up the inside of the 66 and the rear's lock. When the rear's lock in this car, that's even worse. And then cross the grass, Garriock nowhere to go and slams into the right rear corner. Both cars, I think, sustaining heavy damage, with Garriock continuing on here for the time being, but he is down currently in 9th place overall. Still leading the AM class drivers, but he's got Havan Wood for class battle fighting him up the inside of the corner, and they've got a charging Jordan Caruso looking to recover here as they come through the final corner at the end of lap 2. Oh, leaning on each other, and Havan Wood's out in the grass. Just keeps it out of the fence, though, I think. Goodness me, Reese. I knew this format was going to bring a bit of action and a bit of drama, but it's possibly a little bit more than we were hoping for here, as drivers sort of struggling to come to terms with how to race the guys behind them and how these guys who need to come through the field cleanly can get the jobs done fast but efficient and also safe.
Well, there's Corey Shepherd getting the move done on Matthew Bowler at turn 5. Once again, using the sequential stick. But a well-completed move nonetheless. It's all on just up ahead of them, though. Have a look at the racing going on between Mazomo and Webster. Webster just getting it done round the outside of Mazomo on the way into the chicane. Goodness me, what a chaotic first couple of laps. And I'm going to have to correct you on Kyle Booth, Dan. Turns out there was pretty heavy damage for that car. He was crabbing massively down the front straight, and he's had to retire from the race, at least get a tow done and some repairs. Every driver gets one fast repair in each race, so hopefully we see Kyle Booth back out on track as Jordan Caruso gets up the inside of Matthew Bowler, gets the move done very nicely into the penultimate turn, up another position there after some positions lost on the start, but rapidly trying to round people up here is that Sebastian Vandel having to make way for Kyle Lambie and Bo Albert. It's not gone well for him tonight, but he'll be hoping that things go a bit better in the second half. Meanwhile, the lead, Robert Gibbs, 1.8 seconds versus Job Stewart, but Job is gradually catching him here. It's going to be difficult to line up a move. Remember, these races are only very short, so he has to make it count. And we also have to be thinking about the drivers behind him. And elsewhere in the field, Cameron Dance moved over to let the driver he accidentally turned around by, and that has been completed. Dance making the move on Joshua Van Treek to get back up into 21st place, but it's not been a good night for the Kiwi here. Contact in both races and disadvantaging himself as Cooper Webster now tries to line up Sam Blacklock. Webster's been the driver to beat in this series so far, but Blacklock is certainly giving him a race here.
It's super fortunate to have a driver of Cooper Webster's talent and skill and commitment to a series such as the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup. Highest level of competition on the iRacing road platform currently out there. Blacklock, a certainly experienced driver in the iRacing V8 and touring car sort of side of things, but holding his own for the time being here against Webster and former teammates for good measure, so certainly will be familiar with his moves. Is that Jordan Cruiser on the outside of turn 2 on Corey Shepherd? Oh boy, could he get the speed on the exit? It's going to be a drag race up to turn 5. Oh, another one of our esports Super Cup drivers here in the hands of the 112 of Caruso. He's up the inside at turn 5, and it looks like he's got the move done. Wow, that's not something I didn't think we'd see against drivers who, relatively speaking, have fairly similar skill. But once again, another one of our Super Cup drivers showing it how it's done. In the meantime, Webster up the inside of Blacklock for 4th place, on track. Changed the spots there, so that move done fairly straightforward. And now look from the rear of Simon Zomo, our lone Pro-Am driver sitting inside the top 10. So look at the speed difference, though, for Caruso through the middle chicane. He's going to fire it up the inside at turn 12. Mazomo's left with nothing to do but keep the door open and look after his own car there. Good awareness and driving, though. This is what I was kind of hoping to see here, is the pro-class drivers sort of showing how to get some moves done in different places. As I said, a little bit unconventional compared to, say, the turn 5, 6 hairpin and major braking zone, but nevertheless, clean, efficient, and not too disastrous moves there for at least the driver there passing by. As you see here now, 2nd place, it's Job Stewart looking to close in on Robbie Gibbs as behind all of this. Corey Shepherd's looking to go around the outside, a la Caruso just did to him last lap by. This time, though, it's Simon Mazomo on the inside. It's going to be a drag race run up the hill. But with Shepherd having now the inside for turn 5, this should be a fairly done deal here. Mazomo, no, he's not giving it up yet. Going to try and go late on the brakes here, Reese. But no, it's all it's done, unfortunately. It's opened the door to Matt Bowler behind him. But looks like they're going to go single file once again as Bo Albert makes another place and puts himself up into 12th here. So recovering steadily here and quite well here is that number 06, Reese.
That he is, as now the gap for the lead is under a second. Job Stewart is driving the wheels off that pursuit number 35 in his pursuit of Robert Gibbs, and doing the gyro cam certainly gives you a sense for how intense the elevation changes are at Barber Motorsports Park. If you were driving this place in real life, you'd certainly be feeling it. It looks like Cooper Webster, just off screen, has gotten by Sebastian Flock and is now up into 3rd. So it's been a magnificent run for Cooper, but does he have what it takes to catch up to these two at the front of the field? If they start battling, then that's going to give Cooper quite the advantage. Webster is currently 4 seconds behind Robert Gibbs. 6 minutes, about 5 laps here around Barber Motorsports Park. Is that enough time to make up the gap? Certainly know that Webster can do it.
He's now got clean air on track, so I would wager definitely keep him in the hunt for another race win here, which will be an excellent feat in terms of getting through that traffic. See there, Sam Blacklock making a move on Sebastian Flock, so unfortunately Flock not able to hold back the charging drivers who are coming through the field here. Next up, it's going to be Jordan Caruso, and again, just the way those guys are throwing the car over the curbs here through corners like 7, 8, 9 there, and as we watch 10 and 11 surely in a second here. It's just, to be honest, mesmerizing to watch in a way here, because we're seeing drivers of different skill levels. Hopefully the guys here who are maybe not as skilled can take some learning experiences away from this one, at least the positive ones, in terms of the way the guys ahead are driving. Mazomo now back to 8th place. He's got Matt Bowler challenging for this position outright, and then Steve Hosey, the next in line for our Pro-Am class cars. No, pardon me, sorry, Steve Hosey has had a rough race. He's actually now 25th outright. 9th in class and looking to try and just stay in the train positions-wise. Back at the front of the field, though, they've started lap number 8 of 11, and the gap is down to half a second. It's coming down quick, so it's going to be all about where does the move get made. Does it get done here, at turns 5 and 6? Surely you'd think it's the prime spot, but what does Robbie Gibbs have in terms of defense here? Obviously looking to recover and at least get himself a strong starting spot for the 3rd and final race, which will be important here to see. Fastest lap from Cooper Webster. It's in the 122s here, so clearly either changing track conditions or just different fuel or even maybe car setups here, given that is a thing. It's the first time for Aussie Online Gaming we've actually allowing the drivers to do all of their car setup work as they please. The only thing that we've got in place is a fuel tank restriction to cap them, but for a short race like this, that means nothing. That means flat out from start to finish, no stops required. As we have a look here now, the 112 of Jordan Caruso all over the back as Sebastian Flock through the mid-section of the track race. Not long now, I think, until the move is made.
Yeah, not long indeed. We'll have to look out here for the entry to the penultimate turn. The line that you take will send you out wide, but there we go. That is the move done, and quite early as well. Sebastian Flock, I think, just lifting out of it, realizing that, you know, there's not much point in fighting these guys when they're on such a charge. Meanwhile, Job Stewart right on the back of Robert Gibbs. Cooper Webster is continuing to bring the gap down. He is 2.5 seconds behind these two, and that fastest lap was fantastic from him a lap or two ago. Managed to take a few tenths at least out of that battling pair, as here we go. Job Stewart, does the gap open on the inside? It does, and to the lead he will go potentially. Robert Gibbs trying his best to hold it round the outside, but Stewart getting the slightly better drive off the corner. Bumper to bumper, goodness me, going defensive. This is going to be quite the battle. Gibbs may have lost the lead, but he's certainly not going to let Stewart get away if he can do anything about it.
We'll have to see. The pace difference has been pretty obvious most of this race here once they got to clean air. Gibbs not quite up to speed tonight so far. It's his first time racing in this season, mind you, so we haven't really seen what he can do so far in terms of outright pace. With a bit of practice, a bit more practice perhaps, that's all he would need. See a different driving styles through the 12-13 complex. Gibbs, not afraid to use more curb, but it does seem to compromise the car through 13 in particular. And just giving now the breather to Job Stewart. Should be 2 laps to go here, as the gridding time means that our clocks on iRacing should be a little bit out of whack. So indeed, comes across the line here, and no white flag this time by. So we are going to get the full 11 laps in, as once again, so thankfully calculations have been done just right. But now Cooper Webster approaches. He's got just enough time, I reckon, to go for second. But first, not impossible, but definitely going to be one hell of a stretch here. Races will be right on board with that number 37 here in third place.
Well, let's see how hard he pushes here in the braking zone, using the engine braking to its maximum capability and flooring it out of the hairpin. Tell you what, this is it might be slightly easier for him to catch up to Robert Gibbs here, but Job Stewart will be another matter entirely. Look at how much ground Cooper Webster covers in that braking zone alone. He's so confident over the curbs there in the downhill chicane, and the curb usage through here as well on 2 wheels and getting off into the grass as well. Goodness me, this guy is pushing hard. At the very least, he'll have a 3rd place start for race 3, the feature tonight. But, oh goodness, Robert Gibbs just getting the left rear into the grass. And does Webster have enough to send one up the inside? He's certainly giving him a look. That should unsettle him, as it's going to be white flag for Job Stewart in the lead of this race. He leads the championship coming into this round. Oh dear, oh dear.
No.
Oh, that was Sam Blacklock. Goodness me. Oh, and that car looks heavily damaged. That's not going to make it back to the pits, I don't think. Oh, that's a big shame for Sam. The wheel's out of alignment there. We'll get a quick virtual racing school replay to see what happened to the 215. Did he lose it by himself? Well, he had Bo Albert rounding him up here, coming into the final couple of corners, but I think Blacklock might have done this all on his own. Yep, just catching the grass with 1 tyre, and that's all it took to send him into the pit wall.
It's an unexpected mistake from a driver of his skill, as we see here now. Cooper Webster up the inside at turn 7 for 2nd place, and he's actually within striking distance, quite possibly here, for a very, very ambitious move to take a 2nd race win here tonight. I reckon surely here now, he knows he's got a front row start for race 3. Better to consolidate and set up for the 3rd and final. He got the pole position, which is points for the championship. He got the race 1 win, which is the most points available in a single race tonight here for the championship, to ensure they're incentivized getting that race 1 win in spite of the top 15 invert coming up for race 2 that we had here just now. Again, goes for that tight line through the penultimate corner, but it's not going to be enough. Only just, though. Job Stewart holds on from Cooper Webster, both coming through the field quite nicely there to take the checkered flag, and our podium across the line, 1, 2, 3, just like that. And at least Jordan Caruso to come home in 4th, and Sebastian Flock to hold on to a top 5 finish there. Clearly the consistency once again paying off really well for him here Simon Mazzomo, our lead Pro-Am driver, brings the car across the line there, 8th outright, and Blacklock actually able to hang on to 10th place there, Reece. So despite the damage, is able to get it home here and will give himself a reasonable starting spot for this third and final race tonight.
That he will. There's still racing going on through the field here. It's Stephen Griffiths and Sam Muir trying to work themselves out here. Griffiths is going to come across the line ahead of Muir, and side by side across the line between, it looked like, Jai Schultz and Joshua Van Treek. We've still got 3 cars out on track coming around to finish: Liam James, Stephen Black and Kyle Booth. But these are the results of the second race tonight. Job Stewart and Cooper Webster, 35 and 37, are 1 and 2. Robbie Gibbs, though, holding on very nicely to that third place. Jordan Caruso and Sebastian Flock complete the top 5. Meanwhile, it's Corey Shepherd and Matt Bowler, 6th and 7th. Mazzomo takes the win in the Pro-Am class, and it's Bo Albert and Sam Blacklock who round out the top 10. Jacob Brewer's going to come home in 11th place, just ahead of Nicholas Garriok, who has been given a 10-second time penalty after the race for netcode contact on lap 2. Meanwhile, Kyle Edwards-Lambie finishes in lucky 13th. Then it's Vandel, Wood, Dance, Broad, Griffiths, Muir and Bonetti who round out the top 20. 21st is Jai Schultz, Van Treek, James and Black complete the race there. Steve Hosey unfortunately classified a lap down along with Kyle Booth. Big damage for those guys in race 2. Well, we have got a 5-minute warm-up here, and we're going to take an opportunity to take another look at the start of race 2. This was absolute chaos, Dan. We had poor starters in the midfield, but this is how it all came undone for Bo Albert. Just trying to get up the inside of Corey Shepherd into turn 2 and got massively unsettled over the curb.
Old tyres and brake lock from the rear. It's a combination that does not end well in the Porsche 911 Cup car that we see here. Thankfully, no damage to that car means it's only a wounded pride and a lot of time lost on track, and a Herculean effort to get back through the field in terms of positions. We see here just up ahead where he was. This is what I was seeing here. We had 3 wide as we've got the mix of Pro-Am, Am and Am class cars. Cam Dance there up the inside doing a crisscross into turn 7, 8, 9 and just unsettles the rear of Sam Muir through the first part, and then another bump, unfortunately, in the middle of turn 9 for good measure. And that is unfortunately either enough there to contact, but I think possibly they're more just so the fact that Muir tries to put the foot down. You can see there in the background, Tyson Broad in the number 27. He got unsettled with a separate bit of contact there, which we could get a chance to have a look at it here now. As you see here, coming in at the back of the pack here, you'd think he's safe and sound, but it's the number 369 of... actually, no. Unless that was monumental netcode, Reece. Unfortunately, that's gone all by itself as he clambered over the apex curb there, and that's completely unsettled the car, and has to settle for the big old flick spin to get that one turned around. So we'll now look at the onboard from that 369 of Havan Wood in the Pulse Racing Team car.
Yeah, just a little tap.
Tiniest of taps. That's unfortunate, and in fact you can see there Cam Dance waiting there at the side of the track for that redress, which I think we did know earlier. So good to see drivers willing to take the loss out and track immediately rather than settle for a penalty from the stewards later on in the event. So we take a quick moment here to take a breath here and get ready for the third race. Results from that one will set the grid for this third and final race. So as we were talking there, top 10 or thereabouts is probably the place you want to be here, Reece.
Exactly right, and we will step aside very briefly here on SimSpeed TV, but in just under 2 minutes time we'll be taking the start of the third and final race here. You're watching round 3 of the AOG Porsche Cup from Barber Motorsports Park.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in indoor series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going around the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my god! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled! Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go! Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god! God, what?
You're watching the Aussie Online Gaming Porsche Cup presented by Sam Blacklock Media. The drivers are gritting up now for the third and final race tonight. All races the same length. We'll be racing for 11 more laps, maybe less if there is a safety car. But with the field sorting itself out a bit more in race 2 after the top 15 invert, there's certainly going to be less chance of that. I'm Reese Gardner. It's Dan Yeaman alongside me in the commentary box. Dan, we've got a minute left here until the start lights go up. It's all going to be about Cooper Webster trying to find his way past Jordan Caruso. If he can get 2 out of 3 wins, oh, actually, I'm not going to throw to you just yet because we're getting started. That was quicker than I expected, and it looks like a pretty good start from our top 2, but unfortunately that's going to be Jordan Caruso losing out a bit, trying to find his way up the inside of Robert Gibbs. Oh dear, problems in the midfield. There's a car turned around. That is Nicholas Garriock, unfortunately, who has come asunder. And is it continuing? Cameron Dance in the wall and Sam Muir. Have they come together for the second time tonight?
Oh, quite possibly. I'm not 100% certain. Looking at my timing and scoring, it looks like they may just have gone off track independently of each other, but at the same spot on circuit. As we see here now, the field make their way down to turns 7, 8, 9 for the first of 11 times here. I do believe we'll be staying green. There's no cars. Oh, front to toe, nose to toe contact. It's causing a traffic jam here and allowing Caruso up the outside of Webster. Oh, and then more trouble down at that S's complex for good measure, but we've got to stay on board here. Caruso! Woo! Gets the rear out sideways here on that one. I think this he knows. If he doesn't get a chance to have a move here early on. Oh no! Oh, Seb Flock has gone firing off into. Oh, well, that's not gone very well for him. Thankfully, he's not entirely gutted about that one there. Probably one of the more interesting expressions I've seen from a driver who's just obliterated one side of his car. Oh, as the leaders make their way across the line here. So, top 8 all pro class now, with then a bunch of 6 pro-am class cars following them along here as they try and settle in here for the third and final races. Job Stewart still leads the race here, but Cooper Webster is trying to apply all the pressure, I dare say, and it's giving Jordan Caruso a chance to stay with him. I think Robert Gibbs is also hanging on here at the back, and look at this.
Whoa!
Oh, Webster, here we go.
Oh, up the inside of Job Stewart. Has he gone too deep, though? Stewart tries to get the over-under, but gets a little unsettled, taking too much curb. So Cooper Webster is going to have to run down this straight, and he will be into the race lead by the time they get to the downhill chicane. Stewart will try his best to get a good exit here, widens the entry to the corner, straightens up the run out of it, but with Webster now in the lead, we know how good he is in clear air, so it's all going to be on everyone behind just to stay with him. Meanwhile, as we check out Jordan Caruso going for the move here on Job Stewart, coming into, oh dear, just knocked a bit to the right by the curb. Fortunately, no contact between the drivers. Very intense racing at the front of the field, but that attempted move has allowed Cooper Webster to get away. I just wanted to touch on Steve Hosey. He has absolutely marched forward on the first lap. He has the most positions gained in the field, up 13 and now into position 12. Fantastic run there from Steve in the number 9 as Jordan Caruso does make his way past Job Stewart for second place, but Job might give him a heck of a race here as goodness me, that's Corey Shepherd making contact with Sam Blacklock there, sending him wide in turns 2 and 3. Will Blacklock get him back here? Certainly has the drive out of the corner, but Shepherd is going to have the inside for turn 5.
Meanwhile, Stewart's looking to get out the inside of Caruso up ahead of all this too, so we've got tit for tat and passing all over the place here. Turn 5 really showing exactly why we thought it would be the primary spot, but these guys still really going at it, but it's just, oh, it's the perfect sight for Cooper Webster in his rearview mirror. Just every scrap here allows him to pull a gap, and look at that, up to 1.6 seconds from 1.4 or thereabouts on the approach to that S's complex. These guys looking in their rearview mirrors and trying to find every inch of track to make a move here. Look at this Caruso, though. He's a lot cleaner through the first of the S's on the back straight here. Not able to make anything work, though, so he's going to have to really try and set something up. Maybe look for that inside dive here at turn 14, possibly, but no, Stewart able to just keep it covered up enough. 15, though. Here he comes, Reese, up the inside at 15. What's he got, though, for turn 16? A crisscross for turn 1, maybe? Oh, no.
Oh, no. Oh, Stewart, he just got a little unsettled there on the exit of the turn. He goes defensive there, moving across the track. Jordan Caruso is forced to take the outside line into turn 1. Will he be able to hook it up with a late apex through 2 and 3 to try and get Job Stewart here? Well, Stewart is sticking to the inside and leaving him no quarter. These guys are just not giving an inch, as it looks like there's some problems for Kyle Edwards-Lamb. The number 42 falling down the order. He's had some issues there as, oh goodness me, I'm amazed that Robert Gibbs has managed to keep himself in this fight. These guys have been driving so hard, but Gibbs has done really well to hold on to that position. He has lost one to Bo Albert, but still maintaining a position in the top 5 as we see Kyle Edwards-Lamb down in the pits, obviously getting a bit too much damage to continue on. And it looks like there's a penalty for Haven Wood, black flagged for contact on lap 1. And there's going to be a drive-through penalty for the number 369. And we did see a couple of incidents there on lap 1, didn't we?
That we did. And incident was contact with Sebastian Vandel, unfortunately. So both those guys are not having the start they wanted. But just going back to what we were saying there before we were noting the incidents there, I reckon the sole reason, nothing to take away from Robbie Gibbs' general skill, but maybe just, again, a little off pace tonight compared to what he could probably do with a bit of practice. These guys ahead, the way they're scrapping is just giving him that chance to stay in the fight. You see here now, Job Stewart leads. Jordan Caruso once again. Cooper Webster says, thank you very much. I'll take that race lead just as you give it to me. 3.7 seconds is now basically his signed, sealed, and delivered here, even though we are on lap 5 of 11. And it's early days, all things considered. As you can see here now, down at turn 5 and 6, he's got all the time in the world around him. And he's banging out lap times in the 1:21 range. We haven't seen that since qualifying, Reese.
No, we haven't. That's fantastic pace from Cooper Webster. He's taking advantage of all this battling going on behind him. Job Stewart, very tenacious here, racing against the Alphas duo of Jordan Caruso and Bo Albert. And for the first time tonight, those two have got their third man just behind them, Sam Blacklock. He's going to have to try and find his way past Robert Gibbs eventually if he wants to help the Altus charge towards the front of the field. But their former teammate, Cooper Webster, certainly has this race lead locked down as things stand. It's at it's at around 4 seconds now. It was 3.6 at the line last time, and over 4 seconds now as there's big racing going on back in the field. A quartet of Tyson Broad, Simon Mazzomo up ahead, and Joshua Van Treek and Steve Hosey, who's continuing to try and work his way forward. Steve Hosey still has the most positions gained in the field as we see a pitter here, and that's going to be Haven Wood coming in to serve his drive-through penalty.
Yes, indeed, that would be the case there. That car looked like to be in reasonably okay shape, so indeed, nothing else apart from that penalty there, unfortunately, as race control, I believe, will announce soon, but they have issued are going to be issuing a 5-second post-race time penalty. So number 27 of Tyson Broad for making contact with the 5:51 of Simon Mazzomo. And I'm just seeing here that they're continuing to issue possibly further instructions. And, possibly an additional penalty for Mazzomo coming in. In fact, yes. I'll post that in 2 seconds here as I've got access to all the admin tools and sheets and references, as this is indeed my series. I not normally here in the commentary box with you, Reese, but it's definitely an interesting and alternative perspective. Not one I intended to take up tonight, as usually I sit back and make sure the safety car is ready to go in case we need it. But nevertheless, it's very much helping round out and making sure everything that we do here for AOG able to come together. As you look here, Caruso continuing to hound the back of Stewart's car, but nothing going of it this time by, as unfortunately Sebastian Flock has opted to retire his car from the race and also retire himself from the server. So we are now down one car to 25 drivers remaining out on track here.
still a really good retention of drivers here tonight. The fact that we have had basically 95% of the field take the finish in both races we've completed so far, a testament to the commitment of these drivers and the fact that they've been able to keep things going as they are. But we shall see. Oh dear, yes, I've just seen that penalty you posted, Dan. A 10-second time penalty for Simon Mazzomo, and that's for contact with Jacob Brewer, who he was battling with last race for the Pro-Am class win, and that was contact on lap 2. But we can't turn our eyes forward once again to the battle for second. Job Stewart has kept Jordan Caruso behind him magnificently, and these two have gained on Bo Albert. Albert's now trailing by close to a second, but Caruso is wasting no time here. He is hammering the back of Job Stewart and trying to get Altus one position further forward. As we see, there's news of Steve Hosey getting a black flag for contact on lap 3. Well, I said he was advancing through the field beautifully, but that's not going to be the case now.
Unfortunately, race control determining that he is the reason we saw the 42 of Kyle Edwards-Lamb in the fence at turn 1, and a couple of laps ago now. So indeed, needs the car down onto pit lane to get the penalty served immediately. So still a chance for Hosey to make back some of those spots, but he will slip to the rear of the Pro-Am pack, within which Kyle Booth continues to ride in that group, which is great to see. Look here at Jai Schultz in the 027. All kinds of four-wheel lock there on the run out of the turn 10-11 S's. I'll ride on board here with him, Reese, and see what happened. Oh, meanwhile, we better get back to live as soon as we can, because action aplenty, and gets loose, but actually locks it up quite nicely to straighten it up. And we need to get back to is here it is, Reese. Caruso was up the inside on the exit of turns 5 and 6, but nothing of it this time by. Has to settle back in the line for the 789S's complex. And now he's starting to, not starting to, he is continuing to hound the 35 ahead, but Job Stewart able to continue to defend that position. Still proving why he's holding on to the championship lead for the time being. But as I said at the top of the show tonight, with 2 race wins plus pole position, that will change hands here tonight. And we will see Cooper Webster be effective championship leader come the end of things this evening here at this stage.
We shall, and I saw that battle going on between Stewart and Caruso. They banged wheels on the exit of turn 5, so that shows you how hard they're pushing. Fortunately, neither of them seem to be carrying any form of damage from that, but it could have gone incredibly wrong. And all of this battling is just helping out Cooper Webster. He now leads by 6.2 seconds over these guys, so it really is just a race for second at the time being. Job Stewart just slightly defensive on the way into turn 5, trying to block any potential advance from Jordan Caruso. A little whisper of oversteer on the exit isn't going to hurt him all that much. And Caruso hasn't got the momentum he needs to try and make a move here. Stewart is just placing his car perfectly.
It's just enough defense without compromising the drive off corners for the most part. But again, Caruso super good through that 789 complex, and then up the hill through the 10-11 S's. Just better again by a hair's width. This time going to the outside of turn 12 to try and open for turn 13. No dice this time by, but he's just again trying to use all the track width. Oh, goodness me. Both cars able to hang on to it. Caruso, I think, backing out fractionally there. And look at this, defensive this time in the ultimate corner of turn 15. It's drawing Bo Albert right to the rear bumper of Caruso as well. 2 laps to go for these guys. There's still, at least I count, probably 4 or 5 overtaking opportunities though, despite the lack of what you'd think is apparent overtaking spots. You see here the guys throwing it into turn 1 and using all of the track width. Nothing left to spare here. Robert Gibbs still holding on to P5. It's impressive to see here Sam Blacklock not opting to really press the move if he's got anything for him. And Corey Shepard there opting to hold for 7th as well if he's got anything left in the tank. Is once again down to turn 5. Defensive from Stewart. Caruso follows. Albert looks to try and maybe get something done, but nothing of it. He tries to take the standard line and settle in for a better run here. Is defensive all the way to the white line from Stewart. He's allowed to do that, and it's certainly aggressive though. What does it do though to the exit here out of turn 9, Reese? Oh, he keeps this up. Surely there's going to be a chink at the way Caruso continues to pick at his defenses.
Yeah, the pressure is building now, and Albert stands to gain quite a bit if these two come together. Obviously, you won't want that because it's his teammate who's battling for second up ahead of him. but line astern and big curb usage from Jordan Caruso. Will he be able to get up the inside here of Job Stewart at the penultimate corner? Well, Job is placing his car perfectly once again. He's just sticking middle of the road. He's trying to force a huge commitment by Jordan Caruso if he wants to get that first place. As the white flag flies for Cooper Webster up ahead, the cap is now out to over 8 seconds. Just no trouble at all there for the Red Bull Esports driver. But this chain of 6 cars all fighting for second, it could all go wrong at multiple corners here on this very challenging layout of Barber Motorsports Park. Maybe Jordan Caruso, well, no. Job Stewart going defensive once again into turn 5, but will he be able to hook up the exit? Oh dear, oh no, around goes Robert Gibbs, and it looks like that was contact with Sam Blacklock. Sam is slowing down to redress the position, so that leaves us now 3 cars battling for second place. Job Stewart against the Altus duo of Jordan Caruso and Bo Albert. Corey Shepard might have also picked up a little bit of damage there. He's trailing behind in the green and white Premier Racing Team machine. Only a couple of chances left for Caruso, and he's missed the apex a little bit of the right-hander. It's hasn't gained him much versus Job Stewart. Is this going to be the move he needs at the penultimate corner? Let's see. We'll stay with them as Cooper Webster will be coming across the line to take victory momentarily. And it looks like Job Stewart has managed to hold off Jordan Caruso only just. There goes Webster across the line. Brilliant victory for him. But Job Stewart scrambling to the line. He's going to defend second place from Altus Esports. And what a defense it was.
It was to the white lines. Within reason, though, mind you, so full credit to him. As our next group of drivers come across the line, Tyson Broad has made a charge up the field to come home 8th outright, but first of our Pro-Am drivers, so we'll have a chat to him in a second here. And coming across the line just now, Kyle Booth in the 110, our lead AM class driver. So great to see there, mixing it up with the Pro-Am guys as our last couple of drivers come across the line. And you see here now, our top 3 make their way around here on their in-lap here. Might see some celebratory skids from these guys, it'd be nice, but we'll have a chat to them in a second nevertheless.
That we will, and good to see that they're all happy with how things have gone. It was a very intense battle, but crucially, it was a clean one. And unfortunately for Sam Blacklock, it seems that incident with the 888 of Robert Gibbs was a little too much, and he ended up quitting the race. Very unfortunate for Sam, missing out on quite a few big points hauls here tonight. And unfortunately, he's going to pick up a further penalty from race control as well for escaping without permission. That's 5 license points as we check out the results. Webster, Stewart, Caruso, your top 3. Bo Albert and Shepard round out our top 5. Robbie Gibbs and Matt Bowler make it the top 7 all-pro class cars, but Tyson Broad is going to take the Pro-Am victory, only 3/10 ahead of Simon Mazzomo. A very hard-fought battle that was, as Joshua Van Treek rounds out the top 10. And then we jump to Sebastian Vandel, 30 seconds behind. Kyle Booth is going to take the AM class victory here, with Glenn Benetti finishing in lucky 13th. Steve Hosey didn't lose out all that much from his drive-through penalty. He still finishes 14th, which is a very good position gain for him. Steve Griffiths finishes 15th. Cameron Dance, very unfortunate night for the Kiwi in the number 6 Fitzstein Motorsports Porsche, having to redress a number of moves tonight, and we'll have to settle for 16th. Then it's Wood, Black, Schultz, and Brewer who round out our top 20. Nicholas Garriok is going to be the last car to finish on the lead lap. Sam Blacklock escaping without permission. As I said, 5 license points. And Sam Muir, Liam James, and Kyle Edwards-Lamb classified a lap down. Meanwhile, Sebastian Flock, our sole true retirement from this race. My goodness, what an event that was. Incredibly intense racing here in the AOG Porsche Cup presented by Sam Blacklock Media. But we'll jump into driver interviews now. The first one we're going to speak to is Red Bull Esports' Cooper Webster. Cooper, congratulations on your 2 victories tonight. Certainly very hard fought there, and race 2 was quite difficult having to work your way up through the field.
Thank you. The race 2 there was really fun. I really enjoyed it. Being the top 15 reverse grid made it a lot more challenging than what I'm kind of used to with the reverse top 8. But I was surprised that I was able to get back to second when passing for second place in the last lap. There was really close. But I really enjoy the top 15 reverse grid there. It made for some really exciting racing on the first couple laps when it was 3 wide and a few corners, so it's very difficult to stay out of trouble and pick the right line to move up as many places as you can, but I really enjoyed it.
Race 2 was the only opportunity you really had to test out the passing opportunities around Barber Motorsports Park, but how is it for you? It's a very wide track but also very twisty, which makes passing difficult in quite a few sections of track.
Yeah, there's really only one place to pass here as down into that hairpin, but again, it's very difficult to pass into there because as it crests under braking, it's very easy to lock a rear brake and kind of shoot off too far. So even if you're got a big pace advantage on the car ahead, you really have to sit behind them for that until that spot on the lap. But however, I was able to make a few passes at the back area where there's the really long corners. But it's wide, but it's real twisty and a lot of grass, so it's very easy to make a mistake, and it's not as straightforward to making a move as other tracks.
Well, taking pole and qualifying and winning 2 races tonight, that should put you back in the championship lead, so getting your season well and truly back on track.
Yeah, this round has by far been my best, and I think it's going to be close between Job and I throughout the championship, and we had a good fight there in the last race in a few couple of laps, and I was happy with the move I made on him, but he did make it difficult, and I think he was having fun back there with Jordan for the last couple laps of the race, but now I'm looking forward to the rest of the season.
As are we. Well, before we let you go, Cooper, anyone that you'd like to thank? Who got it done for you tonight?
Yeah, just like to thank Red Bull. They're the ones that helped me get to here and put me on the grid and make me competitive, and just a massive thanks to all the organisers for this series, because a lot of us, we really enjoy this and racing the Porsche cars, so I just want to keep doing it.
Well, that's Cooper Webster there, certainly getting some good prep in and experience in for the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup. Next up, we've got second place finisher in Job Stewart, stood by with Dan Yeaman. Goodness me, he had one heck of a night at the end.
That he did, Reese, and well done there, Job. Top 4 in qualifying earlier on tonight, and then able to convert that to a 4th place hold there in the first of the 3 races tonight, and then able to work your way forward with that reverse 15 up to the race win in the second of the 3 races tonight, and then just unfortunately unable to stay with Cooper Webster thanks to the pressure from behind. When you're under that kind of pressure consistently, lap in, lap out from someone even at this level in particular, but any level in general, I guess, is there a trick you really have to sort of commit to? Or is it just really about focus and not overdriving the car, really?
Yeah, it was a great race. Obviously, Jordan had the pace advantage over me, and so did Cooper. It was pretty clear, but I was just trying to, whenever he had a bit of a run on me, I just blocked as much as I could and trying to be as fair as possible. And yeah, that's just about it, and trying to keep the tyres cool and everything so you don't blow it.
Absolutely, yeah, indeed. Was there any sort of feeling from the car that it was possible to overdrive it too much in those circumstances? You're saying there about sort of looking after the car, given the short format of the races. Did that ever feel like it was going to be a concern, or was it more just in the back of your mind as just in case, given the fact that you guys are fighting a sort of tooth and nail and using all of the track where you can?
Yeah, definitely. And although the races are so short, then I had Jordan behind me putting so much pressure on. It's easy to just overdrive it and slide the car a little bit. Then it just cooks your tyres for the rest of the race, so you had to be super careful.
Indeed there. So I guess with the first time we're using the Super Sprint format for at least this year, obviously you've raced here with Aussie Online Gaming before and you're sort of somewhat familiar with the formats that are being used. At least things haven't really changed since last year when you were last racing in the series. Did you sort of have a sort of a plan in mind when it came to that second race there, given the inversion of the top 15 results from race 1?
Yeah, I was just gonna have as much fun as possible because it's always fun passing people and having great battles with everyone up front because everyone's super close in pace. But yeah, I was just trying to make off as many positions on the first lap when everyone's most vulnerable, and it worked. And then yeah, it was great for that second race to put me on pole.
Well done there, Joe. Before we let you go, just want a chance to thank any sponsors and who gets it done for you tonight.
Yeah, just thanks to Pursuit Sim Racing and V&M, the sponsor, for all their hard work.
Well, there we go, Reese. Second place in the third race tonight, along with a race win in the second of the 3 tonight there was Job Stewart. And now we bring in our third place driver in Jordan Caruso. And I'll hand it back to you, Reese, to finish up this one here.
Oh, it was certainly an eventful night for you, Jordan. My goodness, that race 2 certainly got dramatic, but certainly coming away with 2 podiums. A good night for you.
Yeah, no, that was heaps of fun. I think overall, Kuba had a little bit more on me, so even like as soon as he got in front, he sort of just checked out. The second race was, yeah, intense. There were a bunch of times where I was on the outside and nearly got punted, but made it through. And yeah, in the last one, I had a really fun battle with Job. We were talking to each other, and yeah, no, it was a lot of fun.
That it was certainly fun to watch from the broadcast booth as well. Certainly a good result for Altus Esports as well. It was a little bit patchy for you guys with some issues for Sam and Bo throughout the night, but you should definitely be happy getting the cars into the top 5 on those occasions.
Yeah, for sure. Particularly Sam, like considering he doesn't really drive his car much or at all really. His pace has been pretty good, and Bo as well. His pace has been really impressive. So yeah, I think as long as we can sort of keep consistent for the rest of the year, we should have a good championship.
Should indeed. Well, before we let you go, Jordan, anyone you'd like to thank from your garage at Altus?
Yep. Everyone at Altus, obviously, Logitech G, Virtual Racing School, Race Tech Seats, and Cube Controls.
Brilliant stuff there from Jordan Caruso. Gave us one heck of a battle with Job Stewart tonight. Next up, we have Tyson Broad in the box, the Pro-Am class winner in the third race tonight. Good stuff there, Tyson, but goodness me, it was a difficult night for you in other cases, particularly that spin in race 2.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty race 2, especially getting punted up the back. But yes, that's racing, and still managed to recover well. And yeah, that start in race 3 kind of made my race.
So just take us through that start for you. What was it like from your perspective?
Absolutely incredible. Like, I jumped about 3 cars off the starting blocks, and then by the end of the first lap, I think I was up like 6 or 7 spots. So that really made my race, and then getting past Mazzomo on lap 3 was really good.
Well, you're certainly coming away with a good points haul. Do you think that the Pro-Am title is well within reach for you?
At the moment it is. I'm not sure about the next few rounds, but yeah, we'll just have to take it race by race and see if I can either extend or consolidate my lead at each round, and hopefully I end up with a trophy at the end of it.
We shall see. Well, before we let you go, Tyson, is there anyone that you'd like to thank?
Just Online Esports and the series organisers, and also you guys in the comms box.
Thanks very much, Tyson, and thank you for joining us. Great result for him tonight. The final driver we'll talk to is Kyle Booth, coming away with a 12th place finish in the third race here tonight, winning the AM class in the feature. Congratulations, Kyle. Certainly lifting your spirits there.
Yeah, it was a hard run. Last place to like 12th. So it was really pushing. It was like the first week out of the Porsche series that we've been doing without any issues. So it's just unfortunate for Nick that he got caught up in a few incidents and stuck at the back, So.
Oh, well, regardless, for your team, it's certainly going to lift your spirits coming home with the AM victory in Race 3. In terms of Race 2, just take us through what happened to you, because we did notice that you had some very big issues and classified a lap down. Was it just a case of spinning and damage, which is quite easy to do here at Barber, or was it something else?
That last corner, I was just pushing a little bit on the first lap. Cold tyres, dropped the wheel onto the grass and it was all over. So not much I could have done about that.
Oh, well, certainly making up for it with the AM victory in Race 3, which will certainly give you a good haul of championship points. How do you think the season's going to pan out for you?
Oh, I think that if Nick and I can keep finishing up the front, we've got the ability to finish 1-2 in multiple races, I believe. So I think that GBM team can finish up the front in the points.
Well, is there anyone you'd like to thank from your squad before we let you go, Kyle?
Just our major sponsors, ZTech Engineering, Marley Constructions, Inox Lubricants, and My Real Estate Queensland. And yeah, that's about it. I appreciate you guys having us.
And we appreciate having you in the booth, Mr. Booth, Kyle Booth there, coming home with the AM victory here tonight. And that's going to end off our coverage here of the Aussie Online Gaming Porsche Cup presented by Sam Blacklock Media. Goodness me, Daniel, what a race it was this week. But in 2 weeks' time, we go to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, a very fast circuit there in Bowmanville, Ontario.
That it is. And going back to the sprint round format, we'll see a pit stop required and only 2 races on the schedule for that one there. So a little bit more strategy will need to come out for that race. And so we'll hopefully make up for the fact that we are going to a pretty short, but yes, incredibly fast and technical circuit nevertheless. And yeah, on the fortnightly schedule for this series, just gives me a bit of a breathing time in the back end once the admin is all sorted out. So keep on top of things. And given that we're also trying to wrap up Fixed Indy Australia this week as well, make sure both series get the love and attention they both deserve there.
Yes, and if you're interested in catching Fixed Indy Australia, you'll be able to find it at 9 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time on Friday night, broadcast right here on SimSpeed TV. And I certainly need a fortnight for my lungs and voice box to recover from all of the action that went on here tonight, but it's certainly going to be turning up once again at Mo Sport for the Aussie Online Gaming Porsche Cup. Once again, our race winners tonight: Cooper Webster taking the wins in race 1 and 3 and pole position to boot, with Job Stewart taking the win in race 2. Certainly going to be on for the title fight between those two drivers, and we can't wait to bring you the rest of the racing action in this series throughout the year. I'm Reese Gardner. It was Dan Yeaman stepping in alongside me in the comms box this time, and Jay Kennedy helping out right at the start when I completely messed up the start time. From all of us here at SimSpeed TV, we say bye for now, but not forever, and we thank you for watching.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.